Hi, I'm Steve, and welcome to another long-awaited Transformers figure review. Today I've got for you Reveal the Shield Turbo Tracks, which I was able to pick up from Ross for a mere $6.99. Pretty awesome, huh? Now these discount places that you don't really ever think of to go, they really are the places you should look to go, because sometimes distribution of certain figures are choppy, they're not handled well, and sometimes some figures just don't get to certain areas. That's when liquidation places such as Ross and its affiliates, associates, anything that's owned under the same parent company, they basically just go and buy a whole bunch of things like this in like a liquidation sale, and then they sell it to you at like half price. So I've been able to find like a lot of figures that just were not sold in stores around here, or were sold in stores in extremely small numbers for about half the price. I mean, I've been able to find figures that, you know the big $25 figures, I've been able to find them for 12 bucks. One of these, which typically runs you about 14, 15 bucks, depending on where you go, what time of year it is. I was able to get this for 7 bucks. So you're able to get some really great stuff half price. Anyways, enough babbling, on with the review. Okay, so the Reveal the Shield campaign that Hasbro did, it was to once again do that rub sign thing. So if you're an old school G1 fan, then you know about these rub symbols, which it would be right there on the car. Let's get this thing opened up and take a look. Okay, and here's what you get in Reveal the Shield Tracks. You get your promotional items, you get your instruction book, you get your 2 rocks, and you get the figure itself. Let's take a look at this rub symbol, okay? And just go ahead and rub the thing. And if you remember like the old school stuff, it turns like this dark blue and you rub it a lot, and then it fades to like this green kind of color. And then it'll start to fade into like a brownish kind of color. So it's just this color changing thing. It was nothing more than like a gimmick. That was also like a copyright protection kind of thing. But let's get on to the actual figure itself. Now, this thing in car mode, I mean, it has very solid construction. So it rolls pretty good and everything. You're not going to get any of the usual hang-ups that you get with some other cars. Alright, so on the car, there are these white things right here. You take your missile bits and you go ahead and you clip them right on there. Alright. So once you've done that, then suddenly you've got like a car that has some missiles on it. Interesting. But there's also something else special about Trax. He was a car that could fly. He was one of the few Autobots that could fly, and he could fly while he was in car mode, simply because some of the kibble and bits that he had on him looked kind of like wings. So you could do a partial transformation and get this guy to have wings in car mode. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so the first thing that you do when you want to transform this thing from car to flying car mode is you go ahead and take off your missiles here. Then you just take the car, split off the back end, then the doors come off and down. Move them out like this, and then you got your little wing bits in here. Just swivel them out. You take your arms, make sure they're pressed firmly against the back, and then you can just move it back on down, and suddenly you've got a car with wings. Now there's something you can do with this piece back here. I'm not exactly sure how you're able to get this to happen. I don't know, let me see. Split this off, and there's a way to flip this around or something. Ah, here we go. It's a little tricky to do. But anyways, you flip it around so there's these two pegs here. And then you just take your missiles, flip these connecty bits up, and there's a slot right here underneath they can just use to connect right on the back there. Son of a bitch. There. Okay. Now you've suddenly got a flying car with missiles. So that was Trax's thing. He was an extremely arrogant bastard, but you know, he could fly. So there we go. Here's Trax in his easy missile fall off flying car mode. Okay, so I've got the thing back in car mode, and I'm just going to go ahead and transform it real quick into a robot mode, just so that can be viewed. Okay, so here's Trax in robot mode. Figuring out his transformation is going to be kind of difficult. The wings here are on these sliding joints, so you're going to have to make sure that you've pulled them all the way out before you then try to move them up, or this back piece is not going to sit right. Now the missile launchers, they do connect to this gray piece right here, so you're able to get some kind of movement out of them. They don't move side to side, but up and down, they're excellent. This weapon that he's holding right here, it's an internally stored weapon in vehicle mode, so there's no kibble or parts forming going on there. It is rather difficult to get him to hold it. You're really going to have to press it into his hand or just slide it down. But thankfully I did find out eventually that he does hold it. So the leg joints, they are rather weak. There's not a whole lot holding it there, and the foot joint here and right here, there's not a whole lot of friction holding it there. So if you're going to have it hold some kind of a pose, you're really going to have to work and finagle with it, and then make sure that you don't touch the thing once you're done, because he is rather finicky. Now, a word about this paint job here, the flames that were on the hood. Personally, I liked the old school G1 flames, where it was just yellow and red fire. It wasn't all stylized like this. It was just flames like you'd expect to be on a car, especially one of this age. I know that Repro Labels does make stickers to replace this with the proper flames. I don't have those stickers, and I might get them eventually, but at this point, not right now. I'm not looking to replace anything on my figures at this point. Now, his face does have the classic faceplate. He's got these black eyes, and he has the white crest here. Now, there is this gray piece on the back that might act like light piping, but the fact that it is so dark means that the piece is just there. The eyes are essentially not going to light up unless it is underneath a really strong light, so don't expect any kind of proper light piping to go on. This front piece here, the hood, it does move up and down. There's very little purpose for it to do it other than to keep the figure from breaking. As for posability of the legs, like I said, this thing is on a ball joint, so the hips do move around. This the toe part moves. The part moves at the ankle, so you got that. The knee joint leaves a bit to be desired. There is not much posability. It moves forward this much, and then back about this much. If you move it just a little bit more, there's this. You can feel this slight like pop, like it's entered into its final range of motion. So this is about as much posability as you're going to get out of it. You know, I mean, I don't know what you expect him to do, like high kick or something like that. I mean, I remember when I did another video, I stood the figure up like this just to see if he would hold the pose, and that other figure did, but obviously this guy will never hold that pose, like, ever. So there is some stability issues with the legs, but if you're just gonna stick them in like a standard static pose without too much dynamic movement going on, he'll essentially hold it just so long as you don't bump your shelf or your display case or anything like that. The arms, on the other hand, these are on a ball joint at the shoulder, so you're able to get that. There's also a swivel joint for when the thing transforms. It allows you to get a bit more movement, so he's able to move his arm up like that. Now right up here under the shoulder joint, this does swivel. You've got like a double pin joint here, so he's not able to just move his arm up like this, but like all the way up. So that creates some rather dynamic posing. Also, the wrist joint also swivels, so you're able to turn his hand all the way around. And the head is on a ball joint, but you're going to get very little movement out of it, so he can't really look up. You know, this is as much as you're going to get for up and down movement. Of course, he can look side to side rather easily. These wing joints, like I said, they're a pain in the butt. They do inhibit arm movement a little bit, but I don't expect you to be putting him in like some really weird poses or anything. I mean, he can reach behind his back like that, and the wing doesn't get in the way, but trying to move it, I don't know, back. With the wings, I can understand why they're there. I'm glad that they are there for like the flying vehicle mode. Since I don't expect to be putting this guy in any super dynamic poses or anything, I don't see the wings being a problem for myself. Others, they might find it to be a bit of a problem. Do I recommend you pick this figure up? Yes. This is a classic character. I like the slight redesign on his vehicle mode. So if you're creating some kind of a diorama, or if you're making just a collection of like all the original G1 figures, or at least season 1, you're probably going to want to pick this guy up. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate Trax to be about I would say a 7 out of 5. I mean, a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. He, with all the issues with his legs, I would rate him higher, but for that. But the leg problems aren't enough that I would rate him as a 6. So, essentially, there is my review of Reveal the Shield Turbo Trax. He's not going to be very easy to find anymore, but if you head on down to your local Ross or one of its associates, affiliates, whatevers, you might be able to find one on the shelf. That's all I've got for you this time, and I am signing out.